Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. I'm Andrew Kolvet, and this is Blake Neff. Blake, you have an email that you want to read.
Yeah, so, we're getting into, we've been covering what's happening in Portland, and we'll also get into what's going on in Chicago, this aggressive anti-ICE efforts that are happening in blue jurisdictions where they're declaring certain areas off limits to ICE. They're ordering police not to assist ICE if they're attacked. It's real, nullification crisis resistance stuff.
Neo-Confederate nullificationist.
I want to flag this very interesting email we got from Steven. He just sent in, he said, all Trump has to do for anti-ICE cities is remove the air traffic controller employees and shut down their airports. Now, I want to preface, I have no idea if that is actually legal or how that would work, but I would say that's an incredibly interesting idea.
It's very creative.
Your cities are basically in revolt against valid federal government.
Well,
we are going to shut down your airport.
And we're in a government shutdown. And so all power has been handed over to the executive by Democrats refusing to pass this budget, which means that Trump can decide who to furlough and who not.
You're getting spicy. I like this. I like this, Molly. All right, we're going to welcome back radio. 1 second. All right, welcome back. Radio stations across the country. We are exploring a very creative idea. Here's why I like this idea. It was an email that we got from a listener, and it reminds me of Charlie. This is why I like it, because Charlie always believed in playing offense, offense, offense. Use legitimate power. By the way, there was that Stephen Miller tweet that was getting some pushback because he was talking about legitimate government power to quell the rebellions that are popping up right now. And they were like, you're trying to stoke violence. They keep trying to act like we're doing what they're doing, and we're not. I don't know if you have a thought on this, Molly.
Well, back to the Portland situation, I was appalled by seeing what Portland was saying about how the journalists who are covering it, who are not covering, because Antifa likes to have only Antifa-approved journalists, and there are some who are not. They're independent. And they were blaming them for any conflicts like what Nick Sauter went through.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous how they blame
victims. They're victim
cases.
shaming. So Katie Daviscourt gets punched either by like an umbrella or something. She gets hit in the eye, has this black eye. And yeah, the chief of police, I believe, in the write-up was like basically said you had it coming. Which is, I mean, this is what it's come to. That's why I was, Nick gave me some hope, though. He was saying that there are good police officers, which of course I assumed, but like you wonder how rotten the PD has become.
The police have been at war with, or that's not a bad way to put it.
I know what you
mean.
Bad
way, but they've been in conflict with the Antifa-led government in Portland. Antifa keeps getting people elected to the city council. The previous district attorney actually was Antifa adjacent. The current one is bad, but not nearly as bad as the previous one. Antifa took root in Oregon many decades ago in a way that I think the rest of the country is kind of seeing now. And it has become completely lawless. Lest we forget, in 2020 during the BLM riots, and we talk so much about that January 6th riot. That federal courthouse, the Mark O. Hatfield Federal Courthouse in Oregon, was under siege for months by Antifa. A completely lawless situation. Of course, the federal government has interest in its assets, its people, its buildings being protected.
Well, also, it's a perfect example of why county sheriffs are as important as they are. So if you've only spent time in big cities, your only experience with law enforcement is with big city police departments, almost all of whom have a chief that is a political appointee of the mayor. And in these cities, the mayors are completely corrupt Democrats. They don't care about law and order. It's all about following the party's dictates. But you also have county sheriffs. County sheriffs are elected. They are accountable to the people. They tend to be very different. Now, there are some cities and counties where they've been allowed to merge, which I think is a terrible idea because then you lose that independence. You lose the electoral accountability. But it's why school board elections are important. It's why county sheriff elections are important. It's not just the president or Congress. These very local people who most people on TV and radio have never heard of can be the difference between law and order and chaos in a lot of these cities.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, and it's a really good call back to the fact that local matters, local matters, local matters. Like school boards matter, local elections matter, governor races. It's not just all about president. I think we tend to make it about these national, races, whether it's Senate or Congress or president. But the local level actually, just for quality of life, day in, day out, matters so much. And I just
turnout's
love
so
this.
low, the leverage is so much higher if you vote and
Yeah,
and
well,
get
Soros
turnout.
figured this out with local prosecutors, that the ROI was like huge, pound for, bang for buck, right? It was a huge return on investment, and he found like an arbitrage in the system and basically found a way to hollow out the rule of law in America from the inside out.
It's how he's taken over red states, too, because a lot of these red states, you look at left-wingers pouring in there. A media market in Idaho or South Dakota or Wyoming is shockingly less expensive than if you're trying to get a race in New York City or Boston or whatever. So the right needs to understand these dynamics. It's not just about big elections with people that everyone's heard of. You got to get involved in every state, every locality, and every race.
But this is why I love this email, because it's using legitimate government authority in a shutdown where, as you said, Molly, so much of the power then sort of returns to the executive branch while Congress is out. And, some of them, by the way, it's so funny. Some of these Congress people are like, well, we're not taking a paycheck right now. Well, it turns out the law is that they have to get the money eventually. Like, so as soon as the lights go back on, like, they'll get all that in back pay, but it's like a really cool virtue. It's like, well, I mean, it's like, I guess it's symbolic on some level, but it's like so much of DC is hollow.
Well, I'm a big fan of states and localities being able to govern themselves. I think that's an important part of our system. It's also true that there are federal roles here, and there are federal buildings, federal employees. And so that's what we're talking about, really. Antifa has targeted federal buildings, federal employees, and the federal work of enforcing our borders, which doesn't just happen at the actual borders, but also happens because we've had so many people who have illegally entered the country. It has to happen in every state. Interfering with that federal role is a problem, and it is a violation of our system.
Well, this tension between federal and local has served us so well over the years, because when you do get deranged local governments, the sensible feds can come in, and we get deranged feds. The local governments can sort of push back and create this push and pull. This is going by way too fast. More with Mollie Hemingway and Sean Davis. We'll be right back.